It is Sunday afternoon. You have finished your work for the week. The house is quiet. You have absolutely nothing to do. This should be a moment of peace, but it isn't. Instead of relaxing, you feel a low-level vibration of panic. You pick up your phone. You check your email. You listen to a podcast at 2x speed because you feel the need to optimize your downtime. You feel guilty for just sitting there. You are tired, deeply in your bones, but you cannot stop. You act like a slave who is terrified of a master. But when you look around, there is no master. No one is shouting at you. No one is holding a whip. So why are you still running? Tonight, in the final chapter of our series on anxiety, we are going to answer that question. We are going to explore the philosophy of Byung-Chul Han to understand why you have become your own tyrant and why doing nothing is the hardest thing in the world. Welcome to the end of the line. We started with the dizziness of freedom. We walked through the paralysis of choice, the mask of success, and the trap of comparison. And where has all of that led us? Here. To burnout. Not just, I need a nap, tired, but I don't know who I am anymore, tired. The philosopher Byung-Chul Han argues that we have undergone a massive shift. We used to live in a disciplinary society, a world of you should and you must not. But today, we live in an achievement society, a world of yes, you can. This sounds positive. It sounds like freedom. But Han argues that yes, you can is actually more destructive than you must, because when the pressure comes from inside you, there is no limit. You can always do more. You can always be better. And because you can, you feel you must. In this episode, we are going to talk about self-exploitation. We'll explain why positivity is actually a form of violence. And finally, we will try to find a way back to what Han calls deep boredom, the only place where the soul can actually breathe. To understand your burnout, you have to understand where you are living. In the past, society was like a prison or a factory. Michel Foucault called this the disciplinary society. It was ruled by negativity. It was defined by walls, rules, and prohibitions. The message was, you must do this, you must not do that. If you didn't work, you were punished. The enemy was clear, the boss, the king, the system. You could hate the enemy. You could dream of freedom. But Byung-Chul Han says that world is gone. The walls have been torn down. We now live in an achievement society. We are no longer subjects who obey, we are projects to be optimized. The smartphone replaced the factory whistle. The open plan office replaced the cell. The modal verb changed from should to can. Yes, we can. Just do it. Be your best self. On the surface, this looks like freedom, but Han argues that it is a trap. In a disciplinary society, once you finished your shift, you were free. You went home. The boss didn't follow you into your bedroom. In an achievement society, the work never ends because the work is you. You are constantly optimizing your health, your career, your relationships, and your mind. There is no point where you can say, I am done. Because you can always do more, you feel guilty whenever you stop. This leads to the darkest concept in Han's philosophy, self-exploitation. Han writes, whoever is indebted to himself is not free. In this new world, you are both the master and the slave. You carry the whip in your own hand. When you work late, when you skip lunch, when you listen to educational audiobooks while you shower, you aren't doing it because a dictator forced you. You're doing it voluntarily. You are exploiting yourself in the name of growth. And because you are holding the whip, you can't rebel. In the old world, the slave could rise up against the master. But how do you rise up against yourself? This is why modern burnout doesn't look like anger, it looks like depression. Depression, in Han's view, is the infarction of the soul. It is what happens when the pressure to be positive, to be able, to achieve, becomes too heavy. It is the internal collapse of a person who is tired of saying yes. We are not suffering from a lack of freedom. We are suffering from too much positivity. We are burning out because we have forgotten the power of saying no. So how do we stop the burning? How do we put down the whip? The answer isn't more rest so you can work harder tomorrow. That is just recharging the battery of a machine. The answer is a fundamental shift in how we value our time. Byung-Chul Han argues that we have lost the ability to tolerate deep boredom. We think multitasking is a superpower, but Han says multitasking is primitive. Animals in the wild multitask. They eat while watching for predators. It is a state of survival, not depth. Human greatness, art, and philosophy are born from the opposite state, deep boredom. It is the ability to linger, to look at something long enough that it starts to speak to you, to sit in a chair and do absolutely nothing without reaching for the phone to fill the void. Han calls for a return to the vita contemplativa, the contemplative life. We need to rediscover the fatigue that heals. There is a tiredness that isolates you, the burnout of the rat race, but there is a tiredness that connects you, the peaceful, heavy tiredness of a day spent just being. It is a sabbatical tiredness, a tiredness that says, it is finished, it is good. We have spent 5 weeks together in the abyss. We looked at the dizziness of freedom, the paralysis of choice, the mask of success, the envy of comparison, and finally, the exhaustion of being. If there is one thread connecting all these anxieties, it is this: the refusal to accept our limits. We want to be everything. We want to choose every option. We want to be perfect. We want to be infinite. But we are not infinite. We are human. We are fragile. And we are finite. Anxiety is not a monster trying to kill you. It is a signal trying to save you. It is your soul screaming that it cannot keep up with the pace of your ambition. So tonight, for the final time, I am not going to ask you to do anything. I am going to ask you to stop, to accept the deep boredom, to welcome the silence, to realize that you don't need to become anything else. You are already here. The whip is in your hand. Put it down. Inside this exploration, the Achievement Society, why yes you can is more dangerous than you must. Self-Exploitation, why you are both the master and the slave. The violence of positivity, how excess leads to burnout. Deep boredom, why doing nothing is the highest form of activity. Vita contemplativa, the lost art of lingering. Thank you for walking through the abyss with me. I am tired, but it is a good tiredness. I am finished.